Bright QT. Every student matters.
Hi guys, welcome back to our class. So today we have our final chapter in the economics section, and this chapter is chapter 19, and the title for this chapter is called Consumer Awareness. So there are two words here, consumer and awareness. So in this chapter we are going to learn who this consumer is, the definition of consumer, and how are we going to be aware about who the consumer is, what its role is, and about the entire process of consumer awareness. Alright? Now, when we learn about the word consumer, then we are directed to the word consumption. Okay? Now, what is consumption? Consumption is the act of using goods and services to satisfy wants and needs and desires is called consumption. So, you desire some clothes, you need food. So, the act of using food to satisfy your needs of nutrition, to satisfy your needs to cover yourself. So that act of using is called consumption. Okay? And anyone who consumes goods and services is called consumer. So consumption, consumer. Alright? Now, in India, there's a lot of shortages of many products. We said that consumption is when consumers use goods and services that they need. But not all the time will the consumers get the required or desired goods and services. Okay? Because there is shortage of many products in India especially. Alright? All the people required to consume food grains, food items. But the amount of the food grains available in our country is not sufficient for everybody. Alright? Because there is a shortage. So the consumption faces problem because people cannot consume equally. Alright? And in the market, there are few firms that enjoy monopoly powers in the production and distribution of goods and services. So there are few firms, there are few institutes, there are few organizations, and as well as individuals. They have power and control over the production of goods and services, and they also control how much is produced, who are consuming the products that are being produced. Alright? And consumers, on the other hand, who uses goods and services, they are ignorant most of the time, illiterate, and they do not know about the rights of their process of consumption. Okay, they do not know much about the entire process of consumption and what it entails, what it involves, what it engages them to, what they should know, what they should do in cases of being cheated by the firms, in cases of being asked very high price for products that they are consuming, or availing service of certain activities. All right? And the poor people are also mostly poor, and they lack unity amongst themselves. Okay, so because of people being poor, people being disunited, okay, and people being ignorant about the uses of goods and services, about the rights that they have. Because of all these reasons, the consumers who use goods and services, they are most of the time exploited by the market, exploited by the traders, exploited by the sellers, alright, exploited by the owners of the markets, alright, and the consumers are often misled into buying certain products, okay. They are often given poor quality goods and services, okay. There are fractional weights and measures, meaning the weights and measures are not proper or accurate, and they are also overcharged for the products they consume, for the services they avail. So these are the ways in which the consumers are exploited, okay. Because of this reason, how in the market, how in the economic activities of production and consumption, the consumers are often exploited. And because of the very reason that the consumers are often exploited, consumer awareness is very necessary. Why? With consumer awareness, they can avoid being exploited. The state of exploitation can be prevented, okay. So that is why consumer awareness becomes very, very important. So with that, we move on to the first topic, and here we look at classification of consumers. So we learned about consumers, right? Consumers are those who use goods and products, right? Now we'll try to see how consumers are classified, or how can they be divided into different categories. Now consumers are very important part of an economy. Without the consumers consuming the goods and services, the economy cannot sustain, okay. The consumers consume or use. They use variety of goods and services to satisfy their wants, their needs, okay. The main objective is to obtain maximum satisfaction with their income. So that is the main objective of the consumers, that they want to make sure that the earning that they make, the money that they earn, that money will be spent in making sure that they can consume maximum varieties of goods and services, and that can go on to satisfy their wants, okay. That is the main objective of the consumers. Now consumers are most of the time individuals, but there are also groups of individuals and institutions. It's not always one person, it's not always people who are consumers, but most of the times it's also group of individuals or institutions, alright. Now consumers can be classified on the basis of nature of consumption. Alright, so let us look at the classification. The first kind is called direct consumers. Now in the ancient time, today we are in the modern time, right? So if you go back in time and then you look at the ancient time, then the producers who produced goods and services, they produced those only for themselves and their families. So they produced it for themselves only. Okay, themselves only, alright. So the things that they needed, like food, clothes, houses, etc., they were made by the producers only for their family, not for the neighbors, not for the entire village, okay. So what it was, the entire process was self-consumption, okay, because the goods that were produced were for self-consumption, were for the use of the self. You make it for yourself, not for anybody. So the kind of consumption or the use that took place during the ancient time is self-consumption, okay. Because of this self-consumption, the consumers were called direct consumers, because you make it and then you use it. So there is no lengthy process involved there. So it's called direct consumers, the ones who were using these goods and goods and services. And the producers who were producing or involved in productive activities of goods and services, they were called direct producers. Alright. The second one, consumers by exchanging products. So after how people were self-consuming the goods and services, over time the production of commodities increased. Okay, so they began to produce more than what was required only for them. Now that extra products, they started to exchange them with other products of other people. Okay, and in the last class we learned about the barter system, right, where commodities are exchanged. Commodities are exchanged. So people now began to exchange commodities, all right, and goods were consumed by exchanging goods with the other people. So whatever commodities or goods that people had, they exchanged it with other people and got other products that they required. That is how consumption took place, through exchanging of products. The third category is called modern consumers. Now, modern consumers are those where the producers produce goods and services and make them available in the market for the consumers. Okay, so we are modern consumers. We need certain things. We need food, clothes, medicine, etc. The goods are made available in the market. The producers produce the goods and services, make it available in the market for us to go and purchase them or consume them. Okay, so modern consumers make purchases from market who offer them best bargain. So we who are modern consumers, we go to the market and we try to see which shops or which manufacturers offer the best deal, the best price, and then we decide upon the best product that we want to buy depending on the price, depending on the manufacturer. Okay, so that is how we avail of goods and services. Now in the modern consumers, when they buy goods and services or when they purchase goods and services in the market, they use money. Okay, so money becomes the medium of exchange. Money is used in the purchase, in the sale of the goods and services. Okay, so that was 3 different categories of consumers. Now we know that consumers are exploited. Alright, so let us look at some of the forms of consumer exploitation. How does this exploitation take place? Now, variety of goods and services are available in the market. When we go to the market, we see different kinds of products, different kinds of services being offered to the consumers, right? So, it becomes very difficult for us to make the right choice, right? You go to buy a piece of cloth or trousers. There are so many choices for you in the market, and it becomes very difficult for you to pick the correct one or pick the one that is good for you, that is not highly priced, right? It becomes very difficult. And if the consumers who are going to the market to make the purchase, they do not have sufficient information about the products, they get exploited, even harassed by the sellers, by the traders, right? You go to buy a sweater. Now there are already so many choices, so many different varieties and kinds of sweaters available in the market, and it becomes so difficult for you to pick the correct one, to pick the best one, right? And if you don't know what is the average price of a sweater, alright, you have no information how much it could cost or how much it should be, right? You have no idea. So you go and then without any information you try to purchase it, and you have a chance to get exploited and harassed by the seller there. Okay, so that is how consumer exploitations take place. But there are various forms of exploitation. This exploitation takes various forms. It's not always overcharging. Okay, there are other forms as well. So let us look at them. The first one is underweighing and under measurement. Now sometimes the goods that are sold in the market, they are not measured or weighed correctly. Okay, Sometimes you go to the market and you say you want to buy a kg of sugar, okay, and then they give you a packet, a ready-made packet of sugar, which says it's 1 kg. All right, so you read it and then you purchase the packet and you go home. But then, if many times what happens, the sellers, they do not weigh that packet correctly. It's actually less than 1 kg. So you will be cheated. Okay, so that is called underweighing and undermeasurement. It is also one of the ways to exploit the consumers. The second form is called substandard quality. Now, sometimes the goods that are sold are of substandard quality, meaning the goods do not maintain their standard. They are not of good quality. Okay, you pay very high amount of money for the product, but the quality of the product does not remain good. Okay, it's actually bad. So that is also another form of exploitation. The third, high prices. Now, the sellers sometimes, or traders, they charge very high prices by adding different charges that were not mentioned before. Okay, so when you purchase some product, you'll have to pay the price of that product, and sometimes you get charged for other charges like tax, other VAT tax, different kinds of tax which you don't know about, but you think it's also part of the price. All right, so that is also another way or form of exploitation. The fourth one, duplicate articles. Now, sometimes goods are sold in the name of genuine parts or goods, but in fact they are duplicates. They are not original parts, or they are not original products. Okay, but you will be sold that product saying that, claiming that it is genuine. Okay, but it's not genuine. You will be cheated, or you are cheated. So that's also another form of exploitation. Next is adulteration. Now, to earn high profits, okay, adulteration is made costly, like edible costly items like edible oils, spices, etc. Okay, so to make high profits, the quality of certain products are not maintained, like oil, spices, and other things, which you often consider these to be of good quality. Okay, but they are not of good quality, yet they are priced very high. All right. Then the next one, lack of safety devices. Now, many electronic goods, electronic devices, or other appliances lack the required inbuilt safety devices. When you purchase electronic devices, electronic appliances, they do not come with inbuilt safety devices. Alright, although they may claim that this device is safe, it will not be destroyed, or it will not stop working in another few months. There are such guarantees, but actually they are not. So it causes accidents to the consumers. You buy those electronic gadgets, electronic appliances, and you take home, but then you'll see after few months that appliance starts functioning. Okay. The next is false information. Now, sellers easily mislead consumers by giving wrong information about their products. So, in order to sell their product, their sellers often tell good things, or tell you information, give you information about the product which is actually not correct, which is actually not true about the product. Say, for example, they sell packet of chips saying that this is non-greasy, non-fat, healthy, etc. But then at the end, when you actually look into or research into it, then you'll find that the company was misleading. Okay, was trying to make the people buy, and because of that only, it was advertising the product as being healthy. Okay. So by providing false information, the consumers are also misled. The next one, rough behavior and undue conditions. Now, many times traders impose undue conditions on consumers while they purchase or while they avail goods and services. Alright? Now, these were the forms of exploitation on consumers. Now, we'll look at factors causing consumer exploitation. What causes these exploitations? Okay, the first one is that consumers are generally ignorant. They don't know about the price, they don't know about the quality, the standard, the composition, conditions of use, terms of purchase, etc. Consumers don't care. When you go to buy a piece of clothing, do you make yourself aware of all these things? Price, quality, consumption, conditions of use, terms of purchase? No, you don't. You're mostly ignorant when you go and buy or avail of goods and services. Okay? So because people are ignorant, that also causes exploitation. The second one, when goods and services are not available in the market in the required quantity or numbers, it gives rise to black marketing. Say for example, there are certain products which are not available in the market. It is not sold as widely as it should be. Okay. For example, avocado oil. Okay, avocado oil is not sold in large numbers in the market. Okay, but people want to buy it. So some sellers and some traders, what do? They function or they sell the avocado oil through black market. Okay, now this also gives rise to the consumer exploitation, because when you sell or when you buy from the black market, which is not the regular market, you will be charged very high price. Okay, so giving high price for a product, that is also exploitation. Okay, the third point, markets do not work in a fair manner when producers are few and powerful. So when the production or the economic activities of production and distribution of the goods and services are controlled by few and powerful members or few and powerful institutions, then what do? They do not operate the market in a fair manner. Okay, they exploit the consumers. How do they exploit the consumers? By fixing the price at a very high rate, because they have the power and control and they can do anything they want. Okay, they don't look for the welfare of the people. They do not see how the price is hampering or how the price is affecting the people's affordability, the people's ability to afford certain goods and services. They don't care about it. What do they care about? Is profit, right? So they try to charge very high price for the products. Okay, so because of this consumer exploitation, there has been certain measures, certain steps taken in order to prevent these exploitations.